The last time someone accused you of something, a coworker questioning your work, a partner twisting your words, someone at a party taking a shot at you, what did you do? You explained yourself, and the second you opened your mouth, you lost. I know that sounds backwards. I know every instinct in your body says, I have to defend myself. I have to make them understand. But here's the thing nobody tells you. That instinct, it's not protecting you. It's making you a target. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why that happens, what's happening in your brain when you do it, and the exact psychological strategy that flips the power dynamic instantly without you saying a single word. And stick around to the end, because the last technique I'm going to show you is the one that most people find deeply uncomfortable. It goes against everything you've been taught, but it is the single most powerful thing you can do when someone comes at you. Let's get into it. Here's a scenario. You're in a team meeting. Your manager, in front of everyone, says, I'm not sure you really thought this through. What happens in your body? Your face gets hot. Your heart rate jumps. Your mind starts running through evidence. No, actually, I did the research. I worked on this for 3 weeks. I sent you the outline on Tuesday, and you launch into your defense. Now I want you to ask yourself honestly, how often does that actually work? How often does someone say, you know what? You're right. I was wrong. I apologize for doubting you. Almost never. Because here's what that moment was actually about. It wasn't about the project. It wasn't about the facts. It was about power. And the second you started explaining yourself, you answered the real question that was being asked. Will this person crumble under pressure? And you said yes. Here's where this comes from, and this part is important. When you were a kid, 5, 6 years old, there was one way to escape punishment when an authority figure accused you of something. Explanation. I didn't break it. It fell. I didn't hit him. He hit me first. You learned fast that adults hold the gavel, and your survival depended on convincing them you were innocent. The problem, you grew up. But that part of your brain never got the memo. So now you're walking around as a fully grown adult, projecting that parent or teacher onto your boss, your partner, your friends, even random strangers on the internet. And every time someone challenges you, your nervous system goes right back to that 5-year-old place. Please understand me. Please accept my explanation. Please let me be okay. That energy, that desperate need to be understood, it radiates off of you. And people feel it. Trust me, they feel it. The question is, what do you do instead? I want you to think about the most confident person you know, not the loudest, the most times grounded. The person who, when someone comes at them, doesn't flinch. Have you ever noticed something about them? They don't explain. They don't scramble. They don't rush to justify. They just look at you, calm, steady, like the accusation passed right through them. That's not an accident. That's a skill, and it's learnable. Here's how it works. Every conflict has a hidden structure. There's a judge and there's a defendant. The judge asks the questions. The defendant answers them. And here's the brutal truth: whoever is answering is losing. The moment you defend yourself, you've accepted that the other person has the authority to judge you. You've walked into their courtroom. You've sat in their witness stand. You've handed them control of the entire conversation. So here's the first tool. The strategic silence. Someone comes at you. You're being incredibly selfish right now. Instead of explaining nothing, you hold eye contact, face neutral. You let 3, 4, 5 seconds of silence hang in the air. Do you know what happens in that silence? The other person panics. The human brain is hardwired to break tension in a conflict. Silence feels like a rupture in the social contract. So they start talking to fill the void. I mean, you're not always selfish, but just right now. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm just saying, don't get weird about it. They are now defending themselves against your silence. The power flipped. You didn't say a word. Now, some of you are going to say, okay, but sometimes you actually have to say something. Yes, sometimes you do. And when that happens, here's tool number 2, the agree and redirect. This one is counterintuitive. Instead of pushing back against the accusation, you pull it. Someone says, you're obsessed with money. You're so greedy. The defensive response? I'm not greedy. I'm just trying to provide for my family. Boring, predictable, weak. The power move. You caught me. I've been secretly training to swim through a vault of gold coins like Scrooge McDuck. It's not great for the back. What just happened there? You refused to be insulted. You showed zero insecurity about the topic. You took control of the frame, and you made times look ridiculous for bringing it up. This is called amused mastery. Think of a parent watching a toddler have a meltdown. Do you get down on the floor and scream back at the toddler? No, you're amused. You're patient. You're untouchable. When you defend yourself, you're getting on the floor and screaming with the toddler. Don't do that. Now here's tool number 3, and this one makes people genuinely uncomfortable. Flip the frame. In any conflict, the person asking questions holds the power. So stop answering questions. Start asking them. They say, "Why are you always so late?" The defensive you says, "There was traffic and my alarm didn't go off and I've had a crazy week." The powerful you says, "Why does my arrival time affect your mood this much?" Suddenly, we're not talking about the clock. We're talking about their emotional reaction. You've placed the spotlight back on them. You've become the observer instead of the specimen. You're being ridiculous right now. What makes you feel like you need to use labels to get your point across? I just feel like you don't care. It's interesting that you see it that way. What would caring look like to you? These aren't attacks. They're mirrors. And mirrors make people deeply uncomfortable when they're not ready to look at themselves. By the way, drop a comment right now. Tell me which one of these 3 tools you're going to use first. The silence, the agree and redirect, or the frame flip. I read every single comment, and I'm genuinely curious which one hits hardest for your situation. I want to take a second here and be real with you, because if any of this is landing, if you're watching this and feeling some kind of recognition, there's something deeper going on. You don't defend yourself just because of a bad habit. You defend yourself because you're afraid they might be right. Think about that. If someone told you that you had green skin, you wouldn't get defensive. You'd laugh. You might think they're losing it, but you wouldn't scramble to prove them wrong. But when someone says you're a failure and you spiral, that's not about them. That's about a wound that was already there. They just touched it. The real work isn't learning the right phrases. It's doing the internal work of looking at your own shadow, your own flaws, your own fears, and owning them so completely that no one can weaponize them against you. When you fully own your flaws, they stop being weapons. They become just facts. You can be really difficult sometimes. Yeah, I can be. What's your point? That response only comes from a person who is at peace with all of who they are. Okay, let's bring this all together, because there's one more technique, and it might be the most powerful one yet. The disarming agreement. Someone is coming at you, listing your flaws, escalating, looking for a fight. You look them in the eye, calm as a lake on a still morning, and you say, "You're right," and then you stop talking. Not, "You're right," but, "Not you're right," although, just, "You're right." Watch what happens. They're pushing against a locked door. You just opened it. They fall right through. "You're right. I did mess that up." "You're right. I can be hard to deal with sometimes." Now here's the nuance, because this matters. You are agreeing with the Times fact. You are not accepting the Times shame times they're trying to attach to it. "You messed up that report. You're incompetent." Power move. "You're right. The report had errors. I'll fix it." Did you notice what you left out? You didn't say, "You're right, I'm incompetent." You addressed the action. You ignored the identity attack. And that silence, that deliberate choice to not take the bait, signals something that makes people incredibly uncomfortable. Total confidence. Because only someone who is genuinely secure in who they are can admit a mistake that easily. Insecure people go to war to prove they were right. Secure people say, "I was wrong, here's the fix." And they do it with a calm face and a straight spine. That is power. Now let me give you something practical. Because watching a video is one thing, but knowledge without action is just entertainment. Here's the 7-day no defense challenge. For the next 7 days, you are not allowed to explain yourself. Not once. You're late? I'm late. Full stop. No traffic story. You make a mistake? You're right. I'll fix it. No backstory. Someone misunderstands you. Let them misunderstand you. Sit in that discomfort. Feel the urge to correct them, to manage their opinion of you, to be the good guy. Feel it and let it burn out. Watch what happens to the people around you. When you stop playing the game, people don't know how to respond. First comes confusion, then comes a strange kind of respect. And then something almost magnetic. People are drawn to certainty. And nothing in this world radiates certainty louder than a person who doesn't need to explain why they exist. I want to hear from you. Have you ever tried something like this? Have you ever just gone silent instead of defending yourself and watched the whole dynamic flip? Tell me in the comments. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. There's a reason this stuff feels uncomfortable. From the time you were in kindergarten, the entire system around you, parents, teachers, coaches, bosses, rewarded explanation, justified yourself well, avoided punishment, got gold stars, got approval. So your brain built an entire operating system around seeking permission. Permission to be understood, permission to be respected, permission to take up space. What I'm asking you to do today is uninstall that operating system. Not because the world is cruel and you have to be cruel back, but because the version of you that constantly seeks approval, that begs to be understood, is exhausting. It's leaking energy out of you every single day, and you are worth more than that. The world responds to sovereignty. It responds to stillness. It responds to the person who looks at an accusation and thinks, that's interesting, instead of, I must fix this immediately. You are allowed to be misunderstood. You are allowed to be misjudged. You are allowed to be still. If this video hit you somewhere real, if something in here made you pause and think about how you've been showing up in your relationships, your career, your life, then I need you to know there's a lot more where this came from. Every week on this channel, we go deep on the psychology of power, self-mastery, and how to move through the world like someone who actually knows who they are. Not manipulation tactics, not fake alpha stuff. Real psychological frameworks that change how you think and how people respond to you. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that button, not because I'm asking, but because you showed up here today looking for something, and I don't want you to miss what's coming next. And if you know someone who over-explains, who bends over backwards to justify themselves, who shrinks when someone challenges them, share this video with them. It might be the most useful thing they watch this week. I'll see you in the next one.